quarterback.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. Wall Street could be setting its sights on a big new trade in 2025. That is college sports. Listen to this recent comment from Mark Lasry, CEO of Avenue Capital Group and former co-owner of the NBA's Milwaukee Bucks.
I think it's a phenomenal opportunity. And I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a number of schools selling their teams. And the reason for that...
To whom?
To folks like us. Like, we're bidding on a couple teams, I can't tell you. But in essence, what we would do is buy 51% of the team.
CNBC Sport hears you. And this morning, in conjunction with... Athletic Director CNBC Sport out with its inaugural list of the 75 most valuable college athletic programs. At number one, Ohio State, valued at $1.32 billion, followed by the University of Texas, Texas A&M, Michigan, and Alabama. Join us right now with more on this. The man behind that list, CNBC's valuation guru, Mike Ozanian. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
I can't believe we're even talking about this. It's just sort of like not... This was not on the bingo card, but Mark Lasry's bingo card, it definitely was. So where are we here? And how do we really know how much these things are worth?
Well, the people I spoke to, the people that are looking into investing into these athletic programs are talking about a base revenue multiple of 4. Pro sports teams, typically 5 to 10 times revenue. The teams, the schools need this money settling past litigation. They're on the hook for $2.8 billion for the Power 5 schools. And going forward, we're seeing these athletes make money from name, image, and likeness. We just saw that quarterback in high school decide to switch from LSU to Michigan because they're guaranteeing him $10 million in NIL money.
Because Tom Brady was calling him constantly, and it's nice to have Tom Brady on speed dial.
And football accounts for about 75% of an athletic program's revenue. So
the universities would sell 51%, so they would actually not effectively own them in the end? Is that how, or do you think they're going to sell minority interests?
I think there are two main types of proposals. One is for a sort of a super league or super conference where private equity would come in and own a piece of that. The other is for specific schools. But I don't see selling a football team or a basketball team. I see the athletic program being sold.
Okay, but let me ask you a different question.
It's so weird. I can't get my head around this.
Historically, you know, if you owned a professional baseball team, basketball team, NFL team, that was like owning a piece of art. And part of it was the cash flows, but part of it was that the valuation of the team would continue to go up, and eventually you'd be able to sell it at a premium to some other group of people. If these athletic programs are always going to be tied, I would imagine, or at least hopefully, to the university, right? Can they be treated in the same way, and can the valuations ever really be even close to the same? Because you can run them for cash and dividends back out, right? But the idea that you could ever then sell it to somebody else and that it's like a piece of art or it's like this sort of unique collectible that doesn't exist anywhere else.
That's why one of the things they're thinking of doing is taking the revenue-generating properties, whether it be media, licensing, sponsorship, merchandise, putting them into what they're calling a special purpose vehicle, which technically sits outside of the university.
A SPAC?
So something like that. So that particular asset can exchange hands. You can buy and sell pieces of it. And that's a way to get through some of these other issues that haven't been resolved. These schools are nonprofits. Well, this is going to be a profit.
Here's what bothers me. As a college sports fan trying to figure out private equity coming into this, is private equity going to be spending money to invest on these teams and to get more out of it? Or is it going to be stealing from the school future revenues and things that were all built up that were supposed to be going back into academics? I mean, it's for years and years, these college football programs have been supported by the university with the idea that if you build this, it's going to be better news for the academic side of the equation on things, that you will have alumni who are more willing to give back to the school. Is it robbing that entire agreement of what was supposed to be there? These are just professional sports teams at this point. So you and I were talking about it before the break. This is the gradual thing that we've seen for more than a decade where they've just become professional sports teams. But always the argument has been at the university level, why should we invest in these? And the argument back has always been you do it because it builds for the university's strength and the academic investing that we could do down the road. If you're now selling it to private equity at a majority stake, 51%, and you no longer will be the controlling partner in any of this, how in the world can you say that everything you've ever spent has been for the good of the academic side of things?
The flip side of that argument, and I don't disagree with anything you said, is that if you put private equity money in here, these schools are not expert at monetizing their assets. You know, they're administrators. So on the one hand, you're going to have private equity come in and figure out how to generate higher revenue.
That's an argument for a minority stake, not a majority stake.
And that revenue will then be used to... I also don't think the argument for a majority stake is what's going to happen at first. I disagree.
Was that Mark Lasry just being wishful thinking?
I have not heard that as being the main way this is going to work.
Yeah, to me, that sounded like ridiculous.
I think it's going to be a minority stake of this special purpose vehicle. The interest will then be you'll get more people that'll donate money to the school from donors. You'll generate more revenue from that special purpose vehicle. But to your point, let's be frank, since football and to a lesser degree basketball drives the revenue, what about the other sports at the university? And that's where I buy into what you're saying is there could be an issue with what about Title IX, women's sports and things like that. That's an issue.
And the school's on the hook for that.